Get up, stretch my legs. Eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face. Start my day. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs. Eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face. Throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Drink some water, brush my teeth. Get out of bed and I stretch. Bet that my hair is a mess. Look through my clothes for a fit. Anything I do is drip. Feel like a kid when I'm tick-tocking. I still keep it real as it is. I show my age, I don't switch often. I'm just as a dad as it gets. Try taking naps with my kids talking. I'm guessing this life how it is. And I can't wait for the weekend. Keep jammies on like I'm a kid. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs. Eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face. Throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Feel good, feel great, can't complain. Look out my window, see birds and planes. Sun's out, some clouds.
What's going on, folks? James Hicks here, Hicks New Media. Welcome to Infotainment News, ITN Live. It's been a minute since I did one of these shows. I've always done some of my other shows, so this one is good to get back on the calendar, especially around a topic that I'm passionate about. Look, y'all know me. I'm part of the Apple cult, and WWDC is what I do, and I follow everything. But we'll talk a little bit about WWDC today, talk about iOS 15, macOS Monterey, all that good stuff. But I'm not going to just be on here by myself. I'm going to be chopping it up with a man who is part of the crew too. I saw the man was posting some stuff last night, and he was part of the Apple fam. So I said, we going to have to get together. We're going to have to collaborate. And that is actually one of the beauties of the live streaming community that we're both a part of. So just being part of the Ecamm fam and just folks that are able to collaborate and wanting to collaborate, bring each other up. Without further ado, man, let me bring on this man right here, Jeremy Dunn. Jay Dunn, talk to him.
Come on, man.
Oh,
Look, I was jamming to your intro music,
yes, sir.
man.
Yes, sir.
I was like, yeah. I was like, oh man, that thing was lit, man. That thing was lit. But man, I am excited to be here with you, man. I am so excited to talk about the apostolic wonder that is called, Apple WWDC, man. So let's get straight into it, bro. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so let me sit up straight because you coming with the energy. Let me make sure I'm bringing it right. Yeah, let me get my lighting right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see folks in the audience. Appreciate you. Ask us some questions. Look, we are experts on the internet, but we don't profess to know everything. But we will hit it to you straight. Tell it to you how we feel, what we saw, our impressions. I'm coming from an interesting perspective because, for one, I'm part of the Apple Developers Program. Mm-hmm. So I'm running Monterey right now on my MacBook Pro. I am running.
You're a brave soul. Brave soul.
Back in the day when I was building websites and I was really close with the Automatic and the WordPress community, Matt Mullenweg called me a cowboy coder. So look, I'm on not even the leading edge. I'm on the bleeding edge, and it has caused some issues because I would tell you one thing: Monterey doesn't work with Ecamm.
Yeah, that's lifeblood, man. That's lifeblood.
So literally right now, I had to go get an external SSD to install my operating system on and rebuild my entire Ecamm environment just so we can run the show. So let me let you know, the last 48 hours have been slightly hectic. Your boy had to,
yeah.
I'm just saying.
I hope people respect and catch what you just said. You're running an OS off of the hard drive. You see, a lot of people don't even go that deep. But I heard it. I was like, oh, this brother really do this.
Yeah,
he really do this.
Look, I got external SSDs flashing right now. I'm looking at them. As long as they don't go down, it's all good. Shouts out to Fledging, company based out of Alabama, who hooked your boy up with some quality gear. So they make a lot of iOS and Mac and actually PC products. So I'm gonna hook you up with them, and you need to check them out as well. Yes, sir.
Definitely.
So Mr. Dunn, talk to the folks a little bit about. I tell you what, let's start this right before we even go anything. Tell folks who you are, and then give folks kind of your initial first impressions of what you saw yesterday. Let's do that. Yeah.
I put it this way. I think I emailed you, asked me for a bio, and you was like, man, what's your bio? I said, I'm a Christian rapping, content creating, motivating CEO who just happens to be an Apple fanboy and Apple nerd who games out and nerds out all the time. So that's who I am from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I have been an Apple fanboy since 2005 when I had a BlueBerry iMac.
He said the BlueBerry. That's old. Boy, that's old school. God.
Come on, baby. The BlueBerry iMac.
Not playing.
The BlueBerry iMac. The truth. But no, man. So because I do music, so I was using Reasons at the time.
Wow.
And so using Reasons on the Mac sold me. And once I used the Mac, man, once you have a Mac, you kind of never go back.
That's true. That's true.
So I've been working in IT all my life. So I worked with Windows machines. I use a Windows machine for a living for my actual regular job. Mm-hmm. But when I log in and be me, I'm on Mac. So yesterday was what we call in Apple fanboyisms, the Mecca of days, where all of the apostolic people come together to celebrate the creation of Steve Jobs, called the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac. And so WWDC 21 was just yesterday, and boy, did we get some amazing reveals on what's going to be the future of iOS, iPadOS, macOS, as well as what they calling possibly Home OS. They didn't really call it that yesterday, but that's the tvOS and audioOS HomePod stuff. So man.
So let me break it down. Let's go and get focused here and talk a little bit about impressions. So I'll give you some background and some insight as well. So I worked inside Infinite Loop for 10 years. I worked for Apple for 10 years. I literally had one of those infamous one-on-ones with Steve Jobs, where I took it. I used to manage a team that was part of the education division. I took them down from our home office. I took them down to Infinite Loop. Gave them a tour of the campus. As we were walking out of the main building, Steve was walking in. I didn't see him. Much shorter than I am. I almost knocked the dude down. I'm reaching to try to help him up, and literally flashing through my brain, I'm thinking of the old stories that you always used to hear, that if you were in an elevator with Steve and he asked you what you did for the company, if he didn't like what you did, by the time you got off, you didn't work for the company anymore. So those were that was flashing through my mind in that split second, but we kind of just gave each other the little eye. I gave him one of those, make sure he was all right, and then we parted our ways. But still, that's my one-on-one with Steve Jobs, and I'm gonna continue to live with it. So I still know a lot of folks that are integral to the organization. I've got plaques from management perspective that I had when I was at Apple. So, everything that organization attempts to do. I got Steve this crazy one sayings right in front of me, in front of my studio right now. And I always tell people what I'm trying to do with this content creation journey is literally make a dent in the universe. So his whole aspect. So that came from Mr. Jobs as well. So yesterday's WWDC was a little different, and I've been to a number of them. I still got the jackets from all of them too, the black jackets with all the years on it. So I'm deep. Tell me your feeling about yesterday, because it was not as enterprise focus in my mind as compared to prior years, right? There was more of a consumer focus because again, it's
Come on.
remote. Everyone, no one's there. You got emojis out there in the audience. But
Look.
when Tim got on stage and started talking, there wasn't a lot of conversation about metrics. There wasn't a lot of conversation about this is how much money that we've made for you or
Yeah.
you've made throughout the App Store and things of that nature. Tell me your thoughts about that if you've watched WWDC over the
Okay.
years.
Let's do this. I'm gonna do a deep dive with that. So basically, what we saw yesterday was a different Apple. So they've been getting away from the metrics for a while, but we're also seeing the Apple that we saw yesterday is an Apple who's under scrutiny, Apple that's under fire. With different things going on in the courtrooms with Epic and different antitrust things.
Yeah.
So it was less focus on look at how much money we made, look how much we can do, and more focus on, and you gotta also remember this too, just to add to that, WWDC normally is just a developer focused event. However,
True.
with coronavirus, with different things that's been happening in the world, they really don't have a lot of time. It's kind of like the public is watching right now. So we need to give people a reason to continue to stay in our ecosystem, especially under all this antitrust law stuff going on. So this was their opportunity. They had all of the news, everybody's there. Everyone wants to watch. CNET wants to report on it. The Verge is reporting on you. So here's my opportunity to take what everyone else is doing and basically quadruple it and jump over it, leapfrog it. So they showed off some great things, but I agree with you. It wasn't enterprise focused. It wasn't even developer focused. Now the developer APIs that they have, the sessions that they have over 200 sessions this week are very developer focused. In fact, to me, because I used to watch them for the last 6-7 years. I've been watching the videos, and I noticed that there are a lot more code information than the normal. Used to be they will be showing off different features and then how those features work. Now it's nah, you know how the feature work. Here's how to code it.
Well, think about this, right? Even the fact that Tim was up there talking about Swift is now part of the core, and it's how individuals can now create and make their own apps and then publish them into the App Store, right? So again, back in the day, it was more about, this is how you as the engineers, as the app developers, as the makers, as the folks that are deep into coding, and remember, it was always thousands of dollars to even get in the door. This was streamed live to everyone off of the website. So again, a whole different focus, more of a consumer focus, more of an inclusive focus, and I agree with you when you say about the fact that they're literally just walking out of the courtroom from the Epic trial. Right, so they're literally just walking out. Tim took one suit off and put another one on so he can go do that. So there's a lot of scrutiny in terms of what they're doing and how they're compensating folks and how they're, I would say, focusing on privacy, which obviously was a key conversation and key focus that they've always had. So it felt different, but it didn't feel different in a bad way. I think it was appropriately timed for this particular time. And I want to say real quick, shouts out to the Sean Doc Boyd in the building. We got we got the grandfather in here, so I need to make sure that I'm right. Make sure I'm right, because he will tell us if we wrong, because he's been around the block too. He knows his way around Infinite Loop too.
I was blessed. He had sent out a link yesterday during WWDC and to hang out with him while that was going on. So we got a chance to do something like fireside chats, and it was really fun just to hang out with the LGL crew.
Let me check my DMs.
Look,
it's all
man.
Good. It's all good.
He really been helping me out, man, and just keep putting that boot to me, man, to make sure I keep creating and do it in an excellent way. So shout out to Doc for sure, man. But WWDC, like you said, it wasn't that it was bad, and what I really believe that I saw that was different with Apple this year is just how many more consumer focused, low-hanging fruit they kind of went for. Normally they're not the low-hanging fruit people most of the time. So let's take some of the features that they started off with. The first thing they launched with was staying connected, right? So staying connected via FaceTime. So I have an email here. I brought it up in my video I did just the other day, where I emailed Tim Cook and Craig Federici actually about getting an API to where we can watch movies. It was during the coronavirus. I couldn't be near family and friends. And I was like, man, it would be so nice if we could just FaceTime one another, watch movies together. I didn't want to use like a third-party app. I just felt like FaceTime was built into the device. We should be able to share our screen, play music, things like that. So I emailed them. In my first time, I've emailed Craig Federici a couple of times, Tim Cook a few times. First time he replied, and he said, "Hey, Jeremy, we can't comment on potential future releases, but thanks for the note and hope that you and your family are doing well, Craig." And I mean, I ran around the house.
Dude, that's cool,
and
right?
Look, I ran around the house.
Yeah.
It was like, "Yay, Craig Federici emailed me back," And so when I was watching the keynote yesterday, and that moment happened, I was like, "Man, that's exactly what I wanted and more." So just the idea now that you're going to be able to do that with your family, whether it's gaming, whether it's watching movies, whether it's music, whether it's just going into a note app and actually, having like a mind dump moment where you're on a whiteboard and other people in the video call could see what you're writing and add to it themselves. It's just going to add a whole nother level to what we can do with these devices.
I agree. So let's start there. Let's start with FaceTime, right? And then, again, I'm a preface and say I am the Apple fanatic. I got more books here titled "The Cult of Apple" than you want to agree with.
Come on.
Let me ask you this from this perspective.
Okay.
Apple is masterful at replacing or eliminating competition.
Come on, brother. Come on.
How many small organizations, internet companies watched that keynote yesterday and literally watched probably that first 10 minutes and said, we now no longer have a product, right? There's so many Chrome extensions. There are so many other applications that were replaced just in that FaceTime part right there, right? Of being able to bring multiple people in, being able to share movies and videos and things like that. I can guarantee you that so many small development teams said, I hope we're going to get acquired by Apple, or we definitely need to pivot because they just took our job, right?
Let me tell you, Apple is really good at Sherlocking, right? But it's all for the consumers. Look, it's all for the consumers' benefit. So watch this. Zoom last year, Teams, Microsoft Teams last year. I used all these tools.
Right.
All these different tools, privacy issues coming up, right? Left and right, not encrypted from end to end, all these types of issues. So Apple's sitting in the background like, you guys have basically crapped on your opportunity to maximize all of this. So when we come out swinging, because they've been working on this for a while, they didn't just turn the switch on yesterday. That's not how Apple works. We know Apple's working on the next feature set for the next 2 years right now, right? So they were already working on this. They saw the pain points of what was going on during the coronavirus. So many Zoom calls. Also, here's another thing. If you're an older person, I'm talking when I say older, I'm talking about like, mid 60s, and you're having to go from going to meetings with people that you meet in person to Zoom calls, you are calling your younger counterparts, your children, saying, show me how to do this Zoom call. But almost every single person I know, elderly or not, knows how to use a FaceTime call. So Apple's smart. They're like, you know what? We're going to make this easy. Then the pain point with FaceTime was what? We're going to, we can't FaceTime Android users. We can't FaceTime Windows. They fixed that too. Now, Zoom.
So hold on. So I'm not going to let you gloss over that, right? Because that's incredible. That's huge for the consumer to now understand, right? So we had iMessages back in the day, and we were bougie because our bubble was blue. Everyone else's was green.
Yeah.
Everyone on the planet wants the capability and the functionality in FaceTime. And now, as of yesterday, it's been announced that I don't care what platform you're on. Tim he was talking about Windows phones. I think he even brought that up there, right? So if you're using Android, if you're using Windows, if you're using the old school Nokias, or I don't know, the old StarTechs, whatever. Every smartphone now has the capability of having those collaborative calls through FaceTime. That's a game changer that I just didn't want you to gloss over, because for the folks that are watching that on the consumer side to really understand that now that just opens up that connectivity and that communication amongst everyone.
Man, it's not even that. I take it a step further. It's now being able to schedule FaceTime calls like Zoom calls. So now, for instance, if I want to do a family, get together, like I said something in my latest video I just uploaded, where with the new SharePlay API, which is a part of this FaceTime piece, there's an API now for gaming, for different things like that, to where, let's say you're on a FaceTime call and you want to play Monopoly with 4 other people. Well, now you can launch the Monopoly app. They can use the Share Play API. The board comes up on screen. You got your people in the corners, and you're literally playing the game. They're seeing it live on their screen while you're playing it, and you can see their faces while you're playing it. And that's just a different level, right? But I could schedule that same thing and be able to do that as far as for personal, business, and for content creation. That is huge. And removing the barrier from just being iOS only. I mean, we didn't get iMessage just yet. That's what a lot of people are waiting for. They want iMessage to be an app on Android, and it's over, right? But
true.
Having end-to-end encrypted calls trusted by a company who is privacy first, which is why they kept going back to privacy. 40 minutes, I counted, almost 40 minutes of the WWDC event through various parts of macOS, iOS, iPadOS, HomeOS was all about privacy. Let's
talk about privacy, because again, that's a touchy subject right now. And
yes, it is.
Apple has always tried to give us what we need before we know we need it. I think, and so think about that with the removing the headphone jack. Right. They've always tried to think for us and make the whole ecosystem and the whole environment simple, straightforward. Every time you pick up one of the devices, it works. Like McDonald's. Right.
Correct.
Now, the privacy thing, there's so much going on right now because you now have the ability to opt in or opt out of a lot of applications.
That's right.
Tracking your movement. A lot of applications are breaking because folks are opting out of those cookies, out of that tracking, a lot of that. Tell me your thoughts on some of that. I've got an interesting opinion myself, but tell me your thoughts just on that piece, right? Being able to track and opting in and opting out.
So it's Apple is making the industry change. It's causing change. And this is how I look at it. So for instance, when I first heard about it, I think I even was on watching either Mac Break Weekly or something like that. One of the guys on there was speaking about when they first got it, they just start going down the line and saying, don't track me, don't track me, don't track me, don't track me. And then they realize some functionalities of the apps no longer work.
Yes, sir.
So because I can't track you between this and this, I can't give you relevant information that actually you need. So with Amazon, for instance, I use Amazon a lot. Now I know Amazon for privacy is a little bit like, but for instance, when I buy certain items like the Uganzi, what is that? The little thing I put on my camera, or the different small rig pieces for my ZV-1, and they recommend, well, hey, this is something else, or I'm on a different page and like, hey, well, because he bought this, he may want this too. And I'm like, hey, I actually do want that. You miss that opportunity with those things. And also those people behind the scenes who are now going to be missing sales because of it. It's kind of like a 50-50 situation where there are some apps, if I understand what you're tracking in me, it doesn't matter as much, right? Google gave us free Word, free Excel, free PowerPoint, free video uploads, free photo uploads, but you didn't read the terms of service that, hey, we own all that content.
There it is, brother. Free ain't free if you don't read that end user license agreement. That's it. There's what I was reaching for right there, right? So we're kind of we're the educated consumer. We're the engineering architect. We're the ones that all of our extended family typically come to when they have issues with technology.
Correct.
And we understand that free is not free. I would gladly pay for Facebook. When Twitter subscription comes to the US, it's in Canada right now, I'm gonna pay the $3 for it, right? Yeah. Because I want to further the engineering development. I want to pay for quality products. Look, as much as I'm paying for Agora Pulse right now per month, I would much rather pay for a product that's actually going to make my life simpler, easier, and actually provide some positive value than to always have these free products that are giving me ads, that are tracking me, that are phishing and key tracking. There is value in actually paying for something. So I'm glad you said exactly that. That's kind of that was a softball I was throwing at you. You didn't even know it, brother. See, we blending right now. We blending.
Yeah. Come on with it, man.
I see you in the comments lower up appreciate you for being here. Yeah, we definitely talking about all kinds of things. I appreciate you for being in the building, even though you're on the PC side and you're not down with the Mac. That's all right. I got love for you.
Come on.
So
yeah, man.
So let's stick with FaceTime just for a minute, because there were some things around, and I'm looking at my notes, right? Just again, bringing in multiple folks, being able to schedule, being able to have the cross-platform piece. And
there's deeper with that, the FaceTime portrait mode.
That's exactly where it's going.
Now, yeah. So with iPad, up until basically iPad OS 15, you had the nice camera that was on it, but it didn't do the bokeh effect.
Yep.
And even on the iPhone 12 and any camera that's had portrait mode, period, we never had video portrait mode. Now here's the part that was in this is the difference between reading what's on Apple's website, but then going deep into those sessions on the developer site, if you have a developer account, and actually reading and watching some of those videos, because that's an API now. So not only can FaceTime use the now blurring effect to blur out the background for FaceTime, it's actually can be used in Zoom. It can be used in any other application for video, which means really big for content creators. Those photo apps that use the camera more can now have a bokeh built in from Apple. The API that allows Apple to do portrait mode will now be built into all of these apps, and I think that's going to be huge. Not only that, but the mic mode as well, where you can now switch between voice isolation, which means let's say I'm in a noisy room right now. We have these nice microphones that allow us to kind of capture just the audio of we speaking. Well, on an iPad, it has 4 microphones. It's picking up a lot of sound. So let's say they had a crazy, which I would have to test it. I think I'm gonna do a video just to test to see if that really would work. But they had this crazy demo where they had someone literally with a blower in the house while the person was on the phone call. And she was like, "Oh, hold on one second." She hits a button.
It ain't that good. It can't be that good. It can't be that good.
But this is the thing. Apple under promises, over delivers. So if they go as far as saying that because they had a blower in there and it works, I would be like, hey, we're gonna see. Normally when you see reviews of people talking about iPad features, like we'll get to universal control at some point, most people will say, "Oh, it can't be that good," and then when they try, they're like, "It really is."
Hold on! Don't wag the dog ahead of time. Don't bring the car. We're gonna get in universal control, but
okay.
Because I'm slightly stewing on the whole sound thing, because my AirPods Pro, this is my second pair, and the left one still don't charge. I need to make another appointment at the Genius desk and tell them, look, y'all, don't make me pull out my Jabras and switch over to my Jabras instead of these AirPods Pros, because I'm gonna go in there with it too. I'm gonna go in there just antsy like that. But one thing that I wanted to point on about everything that we're talking about and everything that Apple's talked about for such a long time, and get your opinion, and then we'll go on into the messages piece, is no one talks about the device. So for one thing, WWDC, please folks, it is not a hardware event. It is specifically around engineering efforts. It is specifically around app development, and is all software focused. But I can guarantee you, and I know because I heard conversations, and again in the last 12 hours, folks that watched WWDC or heard it on the news, it's not the iPhone in and of itself, because people buy these $1,000 devices, but what do they do with it? 80% of the use is what?
Software.
So, but what particular software?
Messaging, communication.
Communications. I would say the phone. I would say the camera.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you know what? You're right.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
No one talks about 5G. No one talks about anything from a phone reception perspective. No one talks about anything that you actually supposedly go to Verizon or go to AT&T and buy the device for, so you can keep in contact with folks. Now, they did bring some things up about communications and cellular functionality yesterday when they had the conversation about what I think it was called conversation aware or something. So folks who have hearing disabilities or hard of hearing in loud areas, kind of like being able to actually have some better reception on that. But again, most of the conversations as of late with any manufacturer, Samsung, LG, well, they're out of the business now, but Apple
Yes, they
is
are.
all around. How good is my camera? How many, how many megapixels do I got? Do I have portrait mode on the front and the back? How big is the sensor? All of that stuff. So it's very, I think we're doing the due diligence of the community by really educating folks and steering them to understand what the focus of something like a WWDC is. It's not a consumer event, just like CES. Every January, I go to Las Vegas for the Consumer Electronics Show. There are no consumers in the building. It's all industry analysts and all people behind the scenes and media
Bloggers and all
talking
that, yeah.
about what's coming down the road 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Right? Look, I saw 3D televisions 4 years before they hit the market. They were a complete flop when they hit the market. But again, you have to understand your audience and you have to understand the mentality. So I think we're doing the due diligence, and a lot of folks that have done shows within the last 12 hours talking about what came out at WWDC to educate the everyday consumer of what this really means. So I see Doc in the comments and all, and I know he did a great show yesterday talking about what these new features mean for content creators, right? And his list was short, right? Because like going in the messages, like we're getting ready to go to right now, that almost didn't have much to do with it. But he focused a lot on the FaceTime and being able to link and being able to have conversations cross platform, things of that nature. So I wanted to put that out there and not gloss over that pace. So
Of course.
shared with you. That's interesting. Who does that? Who does that too? Google.
Okay.
Listen to me. Google does that with Google Photos. Who just turned off free access to all your photos and is now charging you for the ability to have all these high-res pictures? Google. Apple done swooped in behind the scenes and said, you know what? I got you.
But okay, so I really want to talk about this because here's an opportunity to get on my soapbox about the difference between Android versus iOS, right?
Yeah.
So Android is for the people who want the bleeding edge right now. NFC was in Android phones almost 7-8 years prior to it coming to iOS, right? A lot of technologies, even like AirDrop, was Wi-Fi direct on Android. 4G was first on Android. 5G was first on Android. 3D was first on Android.
Yeah.
Here's the things with the Google Photos. Let's take it right there. Google Photos, oh man, this is some cool stuff. They come out with Google Photos. It's free, high quality. Oh yeah, but every upload goes straight to Google service and being fed to their Google brain, and you have no privacy, right? So Apple with Core ML and different types of neural networks that they've been building on for years, so that they can do, because there's something special about iPhones. There's something special about iPads. There's something special about Macs, especially the M1, those neural networks built in on a device. So now, instead of things going out to the internet to do computation, it doesn't have to. It can do everything on device. It may need a few little bits of cloud to come in and do a little, some stuff, some calculations. But outside of that, I'm going nerdy real quick, y'all. So please, I'm coming back.
No, break it down because I'm gonna have you come back and like my pastor always used to say, make it plain. I'm gonna bring it back down.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So here we go, bringing it back down. So in so many words, Android gives you the features first. Apple gives you the features with your privacy. It may take them 2 years to get it. It may take them 3 years to get it. But once they give it to you, they give it to you in such a way where everything is more private to you. Your pictures doesn't have to go to the cloud and then being back to you just to get those types of things. And the cool thing, we'll get to that with Siri. A lot of this WWDC's information was really geared towards your privacy once again. So doing things on device, those computations or calculating, for instance, to make it more consumer friendly here. When you say to Siri, magic word.
Let me make sure let me make sure she's not listening.
I'll say, she lady, turn on my lights.
Shout out to she lady. Yeah.
Yeah, she lady, turn on my alarm clock, right? Whatever. And so when I tell her to turn that on, it goes out to the internet and then it comes back and says, okay, your alarm clock is on, right? Well, now with iOS 15, iPadOS 15, when I say that, it doesn't have to go out to the internet. All that stuff is done straight on the device.
Huge.
So less having to go out to the cloud. That is
huge.
And it's faster. They had a demo on the video where they're literally going through saying to the she lady or he lady, however you have them programmed, the He-Man. I say she lady He-Man. There we go. She lady He-Man. But basically, Siri, what you will be able to do is do it all on the device and much quicker. So going back to photos, to share with you the different things, like the links, that when you share a link with someone, it remembers that they were the one who shared it with you. So if you get back on Facebook, it'll say, oh, this person shared this with you, and that being the API to go deeper than just Apple related applications. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not so much for, pro user. Oh my goodness, this is going to change my life. But it makes those intricate pieces of, oh, you shared this with me, or remind me when I go back to text this person that they shared this particular thing, or even being able to watch this, pin a message, because when we get into focus mode and all these other notification centric information, I may have my notifications turned off because I'm in the middle of streaming. I'm gonna have for my focus mode, I'm gonna have a streaming mode.
Yes.
So it's gonna say, hey, Jay Dunn is streaming right now, so don't bother him. And someone could pin that message to say, well, this is important to him. I want him to see this. The first thing he sees when he goes back into this group text message. And that's really big. So,
that right there, again, folks, understand again. So as we break it down for the end consumer, man, I don't like this frame I'm in. Hold on, let me get off of that.
Okay, let's do it.
Being able to process all of that data directly on your device is incredibly advantageous to you, the end consumer, right? So not having to go out there and possibly get intercepted. Look, now consumers are hearing what we, again, in technology talk about all the time. Ransomware, they hear about cyber attacks. You're starting to see folks are attacking your petrol facilities, your meat plants, things like that. It's starting to hit home, and you're starting to hear it on your ABCs, NBC, CBSs, that, you know what, cyber attacks and ransomware, what is that? That's what we're talking about, folks that can actually intercept your data as it's moving outside of your local control. Apple really is trying to do some positive due diligence in this, and I think folks need to not hate. Look, Google's doing it; they're trying to do some good things too, but it's really at the forefront of what Cook and the team in Cupertino are focusing on, making sure that your data is your data and nobody else knows what it is. Not even Apple, because they don't need to know what your data is. And I'm not just saying it. You can do your Google search, and you can actually look at court cases and things of that nature where Apple has literally said, look, I'm not going to even assist in some of these crimes, heinous crimes that we could and we maybe should help you with, but you know what? I don't have this data because it's not me. It's Jeremy's data. It's not on my servers. So that really is a quality attribute of an organization, that if you're already spending $1,000 for a device that you carry around in your hand all the time, if you're paying $700 for a device that's sitting on your desk, if you got $400 on your if you're already vested in this company just because you like the gear, understand the morals, understand the mission of the company as well. Is really focused on privacy.
Doc and JP was live today talking about brand, and they even kind of touched on Apple's brand and how the branding works. And one thing I'll tell you, I work for a big corporation in my state, and we have like 80 branches across the country. And we went from using, having mixed Android, iPhone, to like being an iPhone only company, because at the end of the day, iPhone and iPad only when mobile devices, because Android was having just so many issues. We were using MDMs, mobile management systems, to kind of roll out updates and the fragmentation. And I'm getting nerdy again. I apologize.
Get to it, brother.
But with iOS, you are able to update easier. Device rollouts are much easier. You can control it more simpler. And people, man, when it comes to business, I tell this to people all the time. If you're serious about business, you need an iPhone. Point blank, period. You can tell me all day. Look, I'm on my soapbox now. You should have never let me on my soapbox. If you are serious about business, you need an iPhone. Android doesn't even have the type of applications. I mean, it's getting better, but they don't have the type of applications. nor the privacy first mindset that Apple has to protect that type of data. If you encrypt something on that iPad and you forget the password, then no one else can get to it either. And that's the most important thing. We can remotely wipe things so much faster. We did this test with Android and iPhone, and we came out on top way better with iPhone than we did with Android. So I saw Alicio join the chat.
Shouts. Now we official.
Look,
my dad was here with the hello, and now we got EW3 in the building with the We Live.
But he got Android, so I gotta be like, look, man. But he got an iPad too. He got an iPad too. But you need to get your iPhone, man. I understand your phone can do 100 times zoom and all that good stuff. That's great. But you need an iPhone.
Yeah, he can shoot it. He can shoot in 8K. I know we saw him taking pictures of the full moon. And I was a little jealous, when he was zooming in on the moon. I'm like, oh, that's a nice camera. And I sure did put an LG Wing in my shopping cart for Verizon about a month ago, and then probably a week after that, LG said they were getting out of the consumer phone business, so I decided not to get it.
I've been eyeing a Microsoft Duo.
Yeah, brother, you didn't walk into any shade. We talking good. We just debating right now. We debating.
We were just talking about business. Business people. You a content creator. It's a business too, but business. But I really do believe that if you're really serious about business, I really haven't seen any Fortune 500. Look, I haven't seen any Fortune 500 CEO not rock an iPhone. So
isn't that crazy? I mean, I know we're kind of pivoting a little bit off of the main topic, but that's crazy because I remember back in the day, and not even the beginning, but I just remember BlackBerry was it. Look, if you didn't have a BlackBerry with a Symbian OS on it, you don't even come around here.
Windows Phone Tilt,
and then the Windows Phone was dope. Look, don't get it twisted with the live tiles. That was dope.
I had the Windows Phone before. I had the Windows Mobile OS before they even switched it to the flat UI that they use with Windows 7, Windows 10 phones. But I worked at AT&T, so I was there when the first iPhone released, and it was a BlackBerry world. I remember when BlackBerry showed off the BlackBerry Storm, and everyone thought that the BlackBerry Storm was the first touchscreen BlackBerry. They thought it was going to change the game. It had Angry Birds, so we got Angry Birds. And man, Apple, you see what happened. Apple really just dominated that game. They were so far ahead of the game.
It took a while for that to actually change, because literally, I mean, I'm right in the middle in terms of the statements that you made. I still think that there's on the Android side, folks who know how to not hack, but folks who know how to work around the system, right? Know how to work within all of the options that you have, right? Because everything is really kind of, I'm not gonna say open source, but everything is kind of open to the user to actually configure themselves. And you can tighten it down pretty well. I remember when Apple released the first iPhone, I was still part of Apple at that time. And I don't know if Doc remembers this because he was part of Apple too. Steve gave every one of us in the company that very first iPhone. Every employee of Apple had an iPhone 2G in their back pocket, which was really cool.
The silver one.
So
right?
on my wall here, I've got so that's the iPhone 5. That's Steve's last phone.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm waiting to get another copy of the 2G, and I'm just going to have the 2G and the 5. So Steve's first and then Steve's last. But it's just amazing to see, really, in a short period of time, this whole curve of how fast it's taken for iOS to dominate the marketplace, right? We use FaceTime as a verb, Kleenex versus tissue.
Come on, bro.
iMessages.
You
think it's on both sides. iMessages. You feel like, what's wrong with you? If I can't send you an iMessage, I can't AirDrop something to you. AirDrop is again synonymous with just being able to move files back and forth between your contacts or folks that are around you. NFC has, you got that up with NFC on the Android side, but it's not clean. It's not as cool. It's not as seamless of an experience on other platforms as it is
Man,
with Apple. So
you just hit on something, because I was in a store. I was at a Winn-Dixie here in Louisiana. We have Winn-Dixie's.
shouts out to Win
And
Dixie and the
shout
Piggly
out to
Wiggly.
Winn-Dixie.
You don't know about
Piggly
the.
Wiggly. There you go. There you go.
I told you I'm from the East Coast, man. I Piggly
Yeah,
Wiggly
man. Yeah,
boy.
look. So yeah, Piggly Wiggly, Winn-Dixie, and someone was had an Android phone, and they were like, "I'm trying to use my Apple Pay," and the lady was like, "You don't even have an iPhone." She was like, "Yeah, I use Apple Pay. I use Apple Pay. It does a little ding ding," and she didn't know that was just NFC. It wasn't Google. They don't call it Google Wallet. They call it Apple Pay, because everyone and every bank almost in America, and almost every payment system, like every credit card system, has Apple Pay now with NFC and everything like that. So people don't call it NFC, they use Apple Pay. When I go to a hotel, I use my phone to unlock my iPhone to unlock the hotel room.
Yeah.
No one's saying I use NFC. Where Android, they had that for years.
True.
I have NFC all across my room. If I was to tap my phone on a particular part of my desk, the lights would go down, the Apple TV would come on, and if I hit something else, it'll all go off. But when someone uses it, they're like, "Oh, you're using your phone to turn things on and off." They don't know that it's NFC. So it's powerful that you said that.
Yeah. Let's go into a couple of other things, and I want to get into the Apple TV, because I remember when I left Apple, it was mainly because Steve and the CFO Peter Oppenheimer came up to Folsom, and that's when they sold us off to another organization. That was one of the saddest days of my professional life, when they sold off my division. But I like what's happening with the wallet. I really do, from the consumer side. I like what's happening with, again, removing physical cards and physical identification from your wallet, and actually having digital context of that. So the idea, folks, again, if you didn't see it, you didn't catch it, Apple is really working with a lot of organizations, primary partners. The first primary partner that they mentioned, which is relevant, the TSA. So that means it's valid, right? Because you can't get on the plane without your ID. But they're working at really digitizing your state identification, your driver's license. So no longer have to physically carry these devices around with you. I think that is such, again, a thing that we didn't know or that we needed. We wanted it, but now someone like an Apple, someone like only Apple or Google or Microsoft could do something like this, right? And the fact that Apple came out with it, talk to us about that.
So one of the biggest things when Passport came out, that's what it was originally called, Passport. I think it was iOS 6, where you can have like your passports from airplanes or different like Walgreens, like loyalty cards. That's where they all started at.
Right.
Had nothing to do with anything with the cards. Then of course, when they came out with their Apple Card and Apple Pay, you were able to use that. And a lot of people are not even talking about this. I just want to put a side note. Apple Card just allows now for sharing to your family. So now you can have your kids or your wife.
I ain't giving my kids no money.
Oh, well, no, me either. Me either. But the cool thing is, it's just teaching people at a young age about credit, and it has limits. It's all built into the card. That's so impressive. True. But taking it a step further, because I'm an Apple fanboy, I have the Apple leather attachment that goes to the back of the iPhone 12, right? So that I can take me, I'm in the store, I'm like, I need my license. I carry two cards, my license and my Apple Card, right?
Okay.
Because all my other cards are NFC, so I don't, and I have my Apple Card NFC too, but I just like the way when you pull it out, you're like,
well, it's got a little extra weight to it too.
A little weight to it. It's a status symbol, like, oh yeah, he got an Apple Card.
See, okay, let's go ahead and let's get bougie for a minute. Yeah, I do. For a while, I didn't like carrying my Apple Card because I put it in one wallet and it scratched the back of it just a little bit. And again, kind of bougie. We got this nice thicker card.
Yeah, we can't have that.
But bro, I will go out to dinner and drop down that Apple Card, and folks be like,
Yeah.
Look, I'm sorry. That is what we are. We are a little bougie like that.
I wish I had it near me, man. I'm gonna be doing a video soon, but I got some slick wraps and D-brand wraps that's for my Apple Card. So my Apple Card has like a red and black, red on the front, black on the back.
You wrong.
Bro, just because I wanted to be special. But no, for real though. Apple with this wallet and now with the driver license, now that's less I have to carry.
True.
If I can just flash my card, man, I can just literally, I've left the house without the little wallet attachment a few times, and I'm like, oh, well, I got NFC, I got Apple Pay, no biggie. But the biggest thing, of course, I'm the elephant in the room. I'm an African American young black male, so to not have my license on me could sometimes
that
be
could be that could be a
issue.
conversation. That could be a little
That could be a
conversation.
conversation, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, man, that fear immediately hits me when I hit the car and I don't have that. It's like, I need to go back and get my license just in case. So because of that, just having that, then knowing when I go in the air, because when I go to the airport, I don't carry my wallet and everything with me like that. My passport, all my information's on my phone, my ticket, my airplane tickets on the phone.
Yeah.
I scan that thing, I put it on my watch, and I'm out of the door. If I need to buy something, all got Apple Pay. I use my watch, get my Subway sandwich. Like everything works. I got my AirPods in. I don't have no strings. I'm just gone. So just having that all in one package, and I really hope that in this 3-month beta between now and September, when they normally release it, the states, the different states in the country, as well as of course other countries, will begin to adapt that technology as quick as possible. Because that's going to be huge for people.
I'm hesitant because it's a touchy subject with Apple and for old school Apple folks. Maps has all folks who know Apple and been around for a while, and again kind of behind the scenes, know that when Apple Maps first launched,
he going there.
It was not cool. It was not.
Scott Forstall was gone because of that. Scott Forstall got booted for that.
Look, it was not Waze. It was not Google Maps. It was not even Yahoo Maps or whoever else. MapQuest. It was horrible. There have been many a times when I got turned around because Apple Maps sent me the wrong way on San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like you say, folks lost their jobs. It turned into memes back in the day before there were memes. It turned into a joke. They righted the ship. They got some folks in there doing some things. Now Apple Maps actually has some pretty nice integrations. It looks and feels like Waze, right? Because now you've got not just turn by turn, you got notifications of, the police is down the street. You might want to be aware of that. It's got quick alternatives for getting to your destination faster. It's got elevation depending on what city you are in and things of that nature. Do you remember Apple Maps when it was told back?
Like I said, you heard me name drop Scott Forstall. That should let you know how much of a nerd of Apple I am. But basically, I of course I was Apple first. So the second it came, I'm like, yo, no more Google Maps, let's go. Yeah. And then after a few wrong turns in Albuquerque, shout out to Doc. A few wrong turns in Albuquerque, I was like, you know what? I need to go back to Google. I was actually in Houston a few weeks ago, sometimes I don't trust Apple Maps to get me to a place the same way Google will, because it's like it just is almost guaranteed. So they're losing that mind share.
That's burned into you. That's what that is. You get that preconceived history with them. That's why.
Yeah. Then the last trip I actually took, I did just try to do Apple Maps only, and it was really good. With this new update, especially for major cities in the United States, of course, I'm in, like Doc likes to say, I'm in the bayou of Louisiana, and we got crocodile. No, we don't. But that's what he thinks. But we may not have the 3D mapping like San Francisco has, but I saw some people pull up San Francisco on a video, and the way that buildings look and just the different campuses and just different, even the Apple Store, everything just has a certain look to it that's just so amazing. And I cannot wait for that to roll out completely through the United States and the world, to be honest, because I don't want to lock us into just the United States audience here. Those people who are around the world who may watch this, definitely. I want you to have it too. So
if you haven't been there to San Francisco, again, that's kind of where I'm at. But if you haven't been into New York, if you haven't been to Chicago or London, some of those larger metropolitan places around the globe where Apple has actually traced them. It really is a whole different experience when you drive into an environment and you see the elevation, you see the Transamerica building here in San Francisco, or you go to the Giant Stadium and you see it up in full detail. But the reason that I'm touching on this, because I don't think a lot of other channels or other folks are having this conversation, but this is from a consumer perspective, right?
Yeah.
As you're walking around and you're using and you're actually probably going to use Apple Maps this time, and the fact that it integrates with your watch as well, it shows you the bike lanes. It shows you the actual differences between a ramp as you're actually, if you're passing under an overpass or something like that. It's incredibly detailed and shows you everything that you're going to be experiencing on your route, to a degree that even Google and Waze don't do it. So Apple has taken a whole different pivot and said, I want to actually show every intricate piece of this route, down to the stoplights where they are. It doesn't show them as they change red, yellow, or green or nothing like that. But it has some very intricate pieces that, again, especially as you're walking. So from the transit perspective, right, it shows those things as well. So folks, go ahead and give Apple Maps one more.
I'm gonna tell you, man. I wanna move just so I can use Apple. See, that's how much of an Apple nerd I am. Just to get to use it to the fullest extent. I'm hoping though it's gonna, like, we starting to get like the 3D mapping a little bit here, like with the buildings a little bit more. It's been like, I think they've been doing that for like 2 or 3 years, and we're just now kind of getting it. But what I will say is this: there's an augmented reality piece that I haven't heard anyone talk about, that Apple spent like 3 seconds on, that kind of, people don't read the tea leaves here of seeing just how much augmented reality is about to change our entire world. But basically now, if you're in an area where you have that type of information, where, like, let's say San Francisco, you can take your phone out, the camera will come out in maps, and you can actually get directions with augmented reality pointing you in the right direction. That is huge for accessibility purposes and everything else, which is, Apple's accessible first. Their whole mindset, even mouse and keyboard, which people don't even notice, before it became the feature for iPad to use, it was already a function within accessibility. It was already there for people who need, like, track, I forgot the actual word for it, but like the tracking with a different motor device for accessibility purposes. So the Maps thing, man, just the way they're going to be doing stuff, and even the Find My network, where now your AirPods can be found with the Find My. I got the Pros.
My son lost his AirPods the other day. He lost one of them underneath his bed. He's got a mountain of clothes on it, and we couldn't find it. And I literally said that day, I said, man, if there was a way that Find My could just start flashing or dinging and tell you where that left AirPod is, it would be good. Sure enough. Yeah. And then one of the things too with Apple, with the phone, with the watch as well, now the watch actually can do Find My as well. So you can use your watch to find your devices, which a lot of people were asking for that. So we actually got that. And like I said, that was glossed over. You got to go to apple.com and look at the bottom notes to find all this stuff. But that's the hidden stuff that I really like. Yeah. And look, there's no manual for Apple products. There never has been. And that's conscious as well. And I know a lot of folks will be like, man, I wish there was a book on how to use this thing. But the engineers
there's tips. There's the tips app.
I delete that, or I hide that as soon as it's first pops up.
I need a sound effect.
Yeah, that's no good. But the whole UI experience of not just an iPhone, but every Apple product is geared towards simplicity and just really how the mind and how the brain works, right? Whoever you give an iPhone to, I'm not gonna say a newborn, but to a 2-year-old, and they can understand intuitively, immediately flicking and scrolling, pinching and zooming. I mean, so that's incredibly powerful, of being able to have something that you can give this $1,000 piece of technology to a kid to make them be quiet or something instead of screaming in your ear, and they can immediately learn how to maneuver across that. So that's incredibly. Let's move on, man. Let's talk. Let's go ahead and talk about the universal control, because look, we're doing a whole dip here. We started with some of the desserts. We started with the appetizers. Let's go on and get into the main course, because of everything launched and talked about yesterday.
Come on. Universal
UC.
Control was the
Go.
mother of all demos.
Go get into it, brother. It's your stage right now. Get into it.
Okay, so it was the mother of all demos for me.
Mhm.
And seeing Craig Federighi, he has his Mac, he has his iPad, has his MacBook there, and he takes his mouse and simply just scoots over, and it goes to the other device. That in itself, we've seen that. We've seen that already. We've seen being able to take your mouse and go to a different screen. Did it work good? No, but it was functionality that we've seen before. But that's Apple, right? Going back, it's kind of, that's why I said the mother of all demos, because it goes back to what was that? What was the name of that? I'm trying to remember the original place that actually had the mouse and keyboard, who showed off the Mac, the GUI, the GUI, and the actual user interface with the mouse clicking. It was
well, I've used Logitech Flow, and I've used Synergy before.
Synergy, yeah.
So Synergy had the whole KVM type of functionality.
Yeah, I was speaking on just when the mouse was actually born back in like the 70s, 80s, when Apple went and visited, when Steve Jobs and his crew went and visited these people. It wasn't Next, it was Xerox PARC. Park.
Okay.
Xerox PARC had the mouse, and they were showing it, and that's when they went and made the Lisa computer back in the early 80s, right? And so, that was the whole beginning of drag and drop, being able to pick something up on the screen and go to another. So they took it a step further here and said, okay, let's get, show that we can not only move the mouse between devices seamlessly, but now we can also take an image off of the iPad, drag it between not one computer, but two computers. And some people say that's a little overkill, but there's a lot of times when I'm editing video, right?
Yeah.
I know Doc he talks about his 10 gigabit network where he could just, send a file.
Well, he ball it. He's balling.
Yeah. Out there with, all the beautiful Thunderbolts and Daisy.
He got all the Thunderbolts.
He got all the Thunderbolts. That's why they sold out.
No, mine is in the Pacific Ocean right now, because Doc got them all, and they went his way to Hawaii instead of coming to California. My Cal
Daisy chaining. I think right now he's trying to do some type of like Bitcoin mining with Thunderbolt and Daisy chaining them all together to have superpowers. But saying all that, I've had to edit, and I just want to get something straight to my iPad. Man, you could AirDrop, but now I could just take the file and literally drag it to my iPad. That is insane. Or I'm working on an image on my iPad. You like my little Apple Pencil?
I see
my Apple Pencil. And you see, I don't know if you noticed it, but I have a
carbon fiber or something on there. Yeah.
Come on, man. You see it. Look, man, I'm acting a fool up in here. But anyway, being able to drag and drop between machines seamlessly like that, to where you know what it does? You know what it shows? It shows that Apple truly, with the M1, is thinking everything is cohesive and connected. It's saying, why can't my iPad talk to my Mac? Why can't my Mac talk to my MacBook Pro? Why can't my MacBook Pro talk back to the iPhone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Why it should be a Wi-Fi delay? I mean, they're all basically all using the same processor inside. Why can't they all talk? And so Apple is showing that with continuity, with the other features that they already had with continuity. Like, I don't know if people remember this, but just the point that you could be on your iPad and type something, copy it like normal, and then go to your Mac.
Go ahead now.
Hit paste.
Go
and hit paste.
Say it one more again. No, say that one more again, because that.
Let me pull up my iPad.
Say that one more again.
Just to show it on. Look, I can type on my iPad real quick, and then I can copy all of that text on my iPad. Not do anything else, put it down, right? Go to my Mac and right click paste into a Pages or Keynote or email or anything else, or a presentation I'm writing, and boom, it shows up. And it's not just that, it could be copying really anything, as long as it uses the share sheet, you can copy it. So because of that, that's called continuity. And so now they took it a step further, and now being able to go between your devices, dragging, dropping. I could be in Pixelmator on my iPad, working on a particular font typeface that I'm working with, get everything right, and push it on over to my presentation and go right live. I know I was talking about just the idea of being able to do that with content creation, being able to knock something out real quick and just layer it straight on top of here, having all of those ecosystems, all those machines, all of those OSs talking to one another because they're on a similar code base. That's really huge.
Okay, so I'm messing with you now because I'm
Okay.
this needs to be hammered home because you're right.
Okay.
A lot of folks don't understand it. So you saying, and I know because I do it every day.
Okay.
I can have a message come through on my iPhone. I can hard press and hit copy. I can go over to my iPad or my Mac Mini, my Mac whatever, my desktop.
Yeah.
Hit paste. And what was copied from my phone will show up on my desktop. Is that what you're saying?
That what I said. That's what I said.
All right.
Brother, y'all listen to me, folks. That's ingenious. You can't do that anywhere else. And
No.
that's the joy. That's the beauty of the ecosystem, right? Again, being able
You said the perfect word.
being able to pull something off of one device and seamlessly move it across to another device, that's incredibly huge. So man, that's a hidden. See, again, that's not written anywhere. There's no manual that actually says to do this. You either have to hunt and peck, or you have to have someone who is not a hacker, but someone who just is down for the technology and understanding the bits and the bytes of it, right? Just finding and understanding all of those intricate pieces before you understand and before you know that. Because Tim's not saying that on stage. I mean, it would be nice because that's one of them old Steve Jobs one more thing moments, right? I mean, those are the things that really bring utility to being part of the ecosystem. That's the thing that makes you want to have a tablet, a phone, and a desktop from the same manufacturer, as opposed to having disparate pieces. Being able to do that, easing your workflow, making you more productive, just the whole utility of being able to, again, move content, move data, either via the network or via AirDrop or via continuity, all of that stuff right there. That's why we are so passionate about Apple. So.
Yes, that's and it's not just that. It's the it's that oneness. It's that I'm about to go a little nerdy here, but
that's all right.
It's the whole idea that when I have a Mac, that Mac also is a part of some of my fondest memories. So for instance, if I take my iPhone and I take a picture, I edit that picture lightly on my phone, but then I send it to my iPad to edit even more, but then I post it on my Mac, and it's a part of every part of my life. So for instance, right now, it's a part of my content creation job. I made my thumbnails on my iPad and I did my notes on my phone, and all of that is synced because when I go to notes on my Mac, the same notes I just typed are right there.
Yes.
The same photos in my photo library are in on my Mac and my iPad and my phone. It all is interconnected, and people don't really understand iCloud and just how well it does. And here's one little
iCloud.
Come in close.
Yeah,
come in close.
Yeah,
come in close. So that pain point. How you gotta bring me in close.
Yeah.
You know that pain point where you're upgrading your device and the device says, you don't have any more iCloud storage. Delete some iCloud storage to update your phone or to back up your phone. Apple says, we're not going to do that anymore. So even if you run out of iCloud space, when your update comes, iOS 15 comes, once you're on iOS 15, once you're on iOS 15, every update after that, if you don't have space, they're like, don't worry about it. We'll give you extra iCloud space that lasts for 30 days just to back up, update, and then restore back. That is only the type of, you only find that at Apple.
That is true.
You'll only find it at Apple.
That is true.
And so that's something that wasn't talked about huge on the stage, but that's mind blowing. Deeper than that, the whole thing with privacy with iCloud Plus. Look, we can go deep. So with iCloud Plus, being able to hide your email, you can even create a whole custom domain. So I can say Jeremy Duncan at pizzaland.com, and that's the email that these apps see instead of Jeremy L. Duncan at iCloud.com, right? They don't see that email because of iCloud, because of this technology of what they're doing. It's just so impressive. Even VPN for, an actual private network for everything you search for, all a part of iCloud now built into it. You don't even have to think about it. Apple's just protecting you. Apple is always innovating and making things easier for you. I'm Jay Dunn. I just did a
man, we should go ahead and just drop it right there, brother. God, so, but see, no,
I'm Jay Dunn.
those were the last two things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about iCloud and iCloud Plus.
Okay.
I think it was an interesting statement that they made. So I'll start with iCloud, and it was something that they talked about that a lot of folks don't like to talk about, but we have to talk about it. The digital legacy piece.
Ooh,
I mean, right? So
yeah.
so that unfortunately, I still have people on Facebook and on LinkedIn that I just saw a work anniversary for someone on LinkedIn who has passed. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So their digital and their social footprint is still out there.
Say that.
So, iCloud now has something called the digital legacy. So you can actually assign someone as your guardian, as your proxy, and as a person who would manage your power of attorney for your digital profile, right?
Yeah.
And when you pass, they can actually go in and shut down all of those profiles that you have. Again, it's one of those awkward conversations that folks don't like to have, but you got to have that conversation, and because again, you can't have all of that data still out there if you're not still here. So that's key, and I think. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead. No, I was going to just say, the crazy thing about that is I recently went with my mother to a lawyer to sit down and get the power of attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And she's completely healthy, planning on living for the next 60 years if she can, right? But she was like, this is something, and it was so uncomfortable because it's like, hey, I don't want this to happen, and you're going to have to do this type of thing. And here's all the information for this and that. But we don't have those conversations about your digital legacy, all the information that we put out on the web about us. And I believe Apple is leading the front on this, and we're going to see Google, we're going to see Facebook, we're going to see other companies begin to unlock all this. But here's the cool thing, because if you use the Apple ecosystem basically directly, if I have access to your iCloud, I also have access to your password. So if Facebook password is in there, things like that, I'll be able to just log in with your iCloud account and then go in and be able to do those types of things. And that's, once again, just that built-in effect that you don't know when you need, you don't know that you need it until you need it, and it's there. That's impressive. And not just for that, but because my mom has hit me up a couple of times, said, I forgot my iCloud password. Well, now I could be one of her recovery, I forgot the actual name they named it, but basically I can get an email saying, oh, this person has forgot their password. Can you, put in the code, boom, 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 and now she can reset her password and she's good to go. And so Apple does things that no other company does, and thinks about things that no other company does, because they really put people first.
Yeah.
They put the first. They're not just trying to sell you, on to give you something that's going to enrich. So iCloud, those digital legacy stuff is amazing.
That's true. I agree with that. And again, it's it can become a religious debate, right? Again, different operating environments. Again, Apple versus Android, or whatever the case may be. But you can't knock someone actually trying to do something good, and something good for humanity. And again, having those conversations when you don't want to have them, but putting something in place, just like they already have for health, right? They've got the anti-fall for, if you trip and fall by yourself, the old I've fallen and I can't get up. It's in the Apple Watch, right? Or so there's more good than bad. There's more pros and cons. You mentioned the word VPN, and I don't think anyone else mentioned the word VPN yesterday when they started talking about private relay. And that was the first thing I wrote down. I said private VPN, virtual private network, folks. That is incredibly, again, talking about privacy, talking about maintaining your sanity, making sure that no one's snooping in on what you're searching for, or what your activities are online. Having that private relay in iCloud Plus is something that many of us in technology have paid for, to actually have a VPN installed and loaded on our devices to validate and ensure that our search history and our traffic and our movement across the internet is secured. It's offered now as part of iCloud Plus.
That's it. Typically,
you would hear something like Plus or Premium or Pro, and you think, man, well, how much is that going to cost? How much is iCloud Plus, brother?
It's free 99, man.
God, dog it. He says one more again. How much is that?
It's free 99.
Like my boy Lil John would say. Look,
Yeah.
you ain't got to pay for it. So again, offering
Yeah.
the digital legacy, offering the private relay service, the hide by email, that's huge too. Because again, that's where all the phishing scams and that's where all that happens. If you can abstract your real email address and just use a burner email address, not what it is, that's incredibly huge, man.
Using Apple sign in has been just the most blessed thing for me.
Yeah.
Because I hated using Gmail, I hated using Facebook, but being able to use Apple sign in, and then now it's across a bunch of applications now, and I believe they're going to continue. 'Cause one cool thing Apple did is say, look, if you're going to offer Facebook, you're going to offer Gmail, you got to offer us, so you can't be on the App Store. I understand people feel like that's a monopoly type mindset, but it really comes down to you're offering these other ones as well. You're on our platform. You got to offer ours too. Now, I mean, they have to pick it, but it has to be on the list to be able to be used.
Yep.
And I love that. And now, even with this, they want to stuff further. Say, hey, even if they don't have Apple sign in, we'll give you a random email address, and then we go right around it. So even if they don't implement it, we go right around it. And with the VPN, man, that. I really think Apple has a master plan. I don't want to create a mass chaos here, but I think they have a master plan to create their own network, peer-to-peer network. They're going to create their own.
Yes,
I would say within the next 2 to 3 years, especially with augmented reality and everything else that they're working on, they're going to be creating some type of network where they could just X out the cellular connection. They can exit out everything, and they just create a peer-to-peer connection between all the devices that are connected with, iOS, iPadOS, and things like that. And you could just be having super crazy speed straight through their CDN. I'm going a little nerdy, and everything just flow beautifully. I guess I use a VPN on my iPhone and iPad to go through a little faster proxy, as well as just block what I'm doing on my phone. Not that I'm doing anything nefarious, but it's no one's business what I'm doing. So that's the whole idea. But Apple having it built in, I can stop subscribing to that application, stop paying for that yearly or monthly fee, and now Apple has it just built in. So that's great.
Look, this is a long-term plan. And I touched on this earlier when I said when Apple sold my division off to Pearson because they wanted to start focusing on the digital home, right?
Yeah.
So the iPhone was kind of the first entrant into that. The Apple TV for a long time appeared to be a side hobby, right? Just some skunk works that Johnny Ive was working on in the basement or somewhere.
Yeah.
Now you're seeing all kinds of things revolving around the Apple TV. You're seeing more integration. You're seeing the new one that they come out with 4K. You're seeing the new Siri enabled, the more functional remote.
There we go.
Right.
You said it perfect.
The more functional remote.
I love it, man. I love that remote.
They got rid of the big HomePod, which I'm mad about because I paid for the big HomePod and I got it, but now they got the minis. But what did they do with the minis? Now you can actually set them up in kind of a spatial audio perspective, and you actually have them connected to your Apple TV, to your TV, and goodbye Sonos.
Yeah.
I got Sonos all throughout the house that I paid a grip for. I can go out there and get these $199 mini pods and now have those
99.
Connected to my see, don't rub it in. Don't do that to me.
Just 99, or you get a dual pack of them for $199. But I want to speak to that because you have tvOS, you have HomePods.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is that Apple is just sneaking into the whole home, right? So every light in here is HomeKit enabled.
That's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. Yeah.
If I was going in right now, my Nano Lease, my strip in the back, the even the stuff that isn't specifically HomeKit enabled, I have a HomeKit switch they're plugged into. So even if I wanted that to turn off, I can actually hit a button. Which I'm gonna do a live demo. You're not supposed to do live demos. Look, you're not supposed to do live demos, right? But here you go. I'm just starting to turn off stuff in the background.
I'm loving them Nano Leafs. I told you I love them Nano Leafs you got there behind your head.
That's it.
I got mine too.
The bookshelf in that light isn't even HomeKit enabled, but I have it to where I can turn it on because I have a HomeKit switch. I am so into that. And now the HomePad having a HomePod having Thread, which
Yeah.
is a really cool and HomeKit capability where the Nano Leafs, especially the newer Nano Leafs, like the little smaller ones, can use. I have those in the back of the house, but my entire home, the entire home is HomeKit enabled. From I'm trying to get the locks. I'm trying to get the windows. I'm trying to do it all. I want to go in the door and be like, beep, beep, beep. I don't want to have to hold keys anymore. But all that being said, even with the car, everything that Apple is doing with HomeKit is just so incredible. The Apple with the tvOS now even having the home shortcuts and home automation on it to where I can bring up the security feeds. I can also bring up relevant HomeKit items for the particular room that Apple TV's in. So for instance, I'm in my man cave right now. So the man cave Apple TV will bring up the man cave information, and it's like that to me, Apple is just, they've locked me in
on purpose, right?
In a good way, in a very good way,
right? On purpose, and it was conscious. Again, a lot of folks were thinking that a lot of these things were side projects or hobbies or whatever, but we're now seeing it all come full circle, right? Correct. Again, now, a lot of us have these smart locks. I'm at that point. I don't have keys, right? I put a code in, or I hit it with my phone. Everything's HomeKit enabled, and now Tim was saying yesterday, it's not just traditional HomeKit capabilities, but now he did a demo with Ecobee. So all the thermostats in my house are Ecobee.
Come on.
I'm not going to be calling Alexa's name any more time soon, right? Because
Siri will be being called.
It will be Siri, and Siri's starting to grow up, right? She had problems for a while, and she was definitely the ugly one at the ball, but now she's starting to get more capability and more function. She's not to the point of Google yet. She's not. Siri's getting close, but just the capabilities are improving in a timely basis. So I guess I want folks to understand that all of these things are falling together, and it's a conscious decision for the organization. These are the skunk works that have happened underground in Cupertino at the spaceship for a long time, and it's all starting to come together now, right? Really focusing on the digital home, focusing on having one device in your hand that is that new Logitech Harmony or that Connect 4 multi-purpose remote control that runs everything, that opens your car, as you see now with BMW, that opens your front door, as you see with Yale and Schlage and things of that, controls all your lights, integration with Nanoleaf, with Hue, with all these other companies. So all the other protocols that were home automation capable that had taken off for such a long time, they need to be aware. Apple's here. Apple's not playing around. If you're not HomeKit enabled, you could get left in smoke, right?
And they've put a hand Zigbee. They put a hand. I think they were talking about a different protocol yesterday. I forgot what the name of it is. It's going to be coming with iPadOS. It's like a big consortium of all of those things. Like they're working with other brands, right? But let's dream for a second. Something like that. So let's dream for a second. You said something about the car, and I guess we could kind of just really nail it home with this. If we own the devices, if we can control everything, so they're not going to use. Apple doesn't like to depend on anyone. They used to depend on the people don't know this. The maps on the original phone was Google's. You had a YouTube app and a map app that was standard on your phone until Apple decided to make their own maps, and then they kind of X'd Google off, right? At one time, they were using data from Dragon Dictation for Siri. Now they don't use that anymore, right? They were using data from these different areas, and now they started buying these companies, even for weather. They bought weather apps. They bought different APIs from different creators, and now bringing that full circle back into so they can all have it built in. So people have been talking about the Apple Car for years. And it's like, why hasn't Apple released an Apple Car? Well, we got to get maps working first. Okay. Here's the thing. How are you going to open an Apple Car? You're not going to open it with a traditional key. So we got to test out how we would use digital keys first. So all of these little pieces that you're watching, they're showing you the little tea leaves where they're going next. That's why augmented reality is such a focus for them, because of course they're going to be coming out with the augmented reality glasses. But we need augmented reality glasses first before we get to the car, because the car is not going to have a traditional HUD where you look at how you look at information. Now it's going to be augmented on the screen. So all of those types of technologies that Apple is doing in the home, like I say, starting with TV. It was in Steve Jobs' bio book, where biography book. Biography. Am I saying it right? Yeah, autobiography. It's one of the last chapters. Right before he died, he said Tim Cook. I guess they were talking to Tim Cook, and he was talking to the guy who was writing the book. He says, "I think I've cracked the code to the TV. I think I cracked it." This is like what 2012, something around that time, and we're just now seeing what that was with tvOS and everything else, but it's going to keep going further, and Siri being in more devices, being on third-party devices even more. So where Alexa, sorry if someone's swinging off just now, a lady gets, was basically in refrigerators and everything else. Now we can see that, we can see she lady in more devices, and I think that's going to be huge. And once again, privacy first. So all of those computations are happening on your HomePod, on your devices in your home, which a lot of people are not talking about this. The way that's going to work with your EQB is because you have a HomePod in your house.
Yep.
And that HomePod is going to be this thing that talks to that device and then brings it back into.
That's the bridge, right? So that's another conversation. I think I want to still have that conversation with you another day, because again, those are the nuts and bolts that I think some folks do want to know about, that, right? How that stuff works. But I tell you what, folks. Sidebar, my boy EB Eric Burks is in the comments here. He is part of the team as well, and he'll be with me in Vegas in January when we go to CS. I can guarantee you there will be more HomeKit enabled home appliances. You'll see that LG washer and dryer where you can, hey
bring
Siri,
it on.
put it on static free and steam clean for 20 minutes for me. I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, brother. Let's get into this last topic, because you said you had some. Oh, look, see, Siri just woke up on my phone. Come on, girl, go back to sleep. Shh.
Go back to sleep.
iPad OS. You said you saw the keynote and wasn't completely sold on iPad OS. Talk to us a little bit about, first of all, what you saw that you did like, and then tell us what still has you on the fence.
So the features we just talked about, of course, all on the iPad. So that, that's really great. FaceTime, the messaging changes, things like that. But I bought a new 2021 iPad Pro, 1 terabyte.
What's that? 12.9
terabyte with the 16 gigs of RAM in it, because
how much does mine have? Hold on.
He about to go check.
Okay. So hold on. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna interrupt because one of the persons is in the comment. Did anyone convince you to buy that, or did anyone influence you to buy that?
I would say, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been an iPad person. I've been an iPad Pro person since iPad Pro. So I get every single generation of iPad, because if it's even 10% faster than the last one, I do majority of my work. I've told you this offline. We was backstage. I do majority of my work. Look at Doc trying to.
Yeah, the reason I said that, and Doc keep giving me a hard time. All right, so I watched Henny the Business. I watched one of his videos right after I watched Doc talk about it, and then I made a quick post and said, Henny told me to buy it, so next thing you know, I'm at the Apple Store, and I've been catching some heat ever since I did that. That's probably why I didn't get that direct invite to the WWDC private chat room yesterday.
Private chat room, man.
That's why mine got lost in the in the round file. But I digress.
I think that's how me and Doc got close, man. I started, I told him he had went on live and talked about it a lot, and I was like, man, I ordered it. I think I messaged him. We hadn't even talked before, and I just messaged him, playing with him, like, yo, did you wake up and get your iPad? He's like, I forgot. Oh no, and I'm like, yeah, mine's coming on day one. He like, no, mine's coming in July, and I'm like, yeah, good for you. And that's really how our whole relationship started. But I have been an iPad Pro person since the first. I mean, in fact, day one iPad purchase. I was in line in the rain in Baton Rouge at the Apple Store getting the first iPad. iPad has just been that device for me.
It's
So
dope.
I
No,
do
it's dope.
majority of I do 90% of my work on a mobile device. I don't use computers for a month. The only time I use computers for streaming. Everything else, graphically, anything else, typing, work, anything, remoting to people's computers is my iPad.
So let's have another discussion around that, because again, I think when Steve announced the iPad, it was more of a consumption device, and he meant, and that was the actual statement that he made, that right, consuming content, consuming the internet, just surfing the web, but actually doing business and having it probably as your primary driver. I think that's a good discussion that still folks haven't grasped, right? They're still saying, man, this is $1,000 for a tablet when all I'm doing is looking at Netflix. No,
come on,
take another look at these apps that are out there that are written specifically for an iPad OS and the capabilities that you have. And then when you add on some accessories like the pencil, which is now becoming more of a requirement, not just something that's nice to have. It's becoming something that, you know what, if you really want to start manipulating and maneuvering through this device. So look, okay, I'm gonna take a mental note of that. I'm gonna take. Boy, look, don't get to
look, don't flex. Look,
don't flex on your boy. Look, I don't have a carbon fiber.
I do everything on my. I do everything on it, man.
You know, look, a lot of testosterone in here. You know, you show me yours, I show you mine. But you know,
let's go. But look, so this is the thing. So yeah, I've been mobile first for a long time. In fact, you spoke about hitting the business.
Yeah.
I think I shared this with Doc Rock once, but predating Henny, I had a YouTube channel. I had a channel called Today's Mobile Tech. And the idea behind it was me proving the fact that I could do stuff on my iPad that other people didn't realize they could. So one of the things was podcast. So I had a podcast called Today's Mobile Tech. It was back in like 2014. And I uploaded one of my first YouTube videos. I did a YouTube video where I showed an application called Boss Jock. It's now called Backpack Studio, but I used Boss Jock, and I did showed how I did a podcast. I would record my podcast, upload the box, send it to my web server, everything from the mini, and then I uploaded it, and then I couldn't, because it was a branded Gmail account. I was paying for it
because your URL is gone. I just looked for the URL. Your URL
it's gone. Bro, it's gone. It's gone. Okay, it was a brand new URL, and I didn't pay for it. I didn't pay for the Google account anymore. I had ran to I lost my job at the time and stuff like that, so I couldn't pay the $5, $10 with us. I wish I could go back in time and fix that. Man, a year or so later, it was still up at that time because YouTube did a purge around 2018-ish where they just started deleting accounts. But it was still up when I kind of came back to later. And the video had like 15,000 views on it or something like that, something crazy. And the subscriber numbers was up and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, if I would have just kept going, and I believe then I was producing music only on the iPad. I had done a whole album it's off the iTunes store now. It's called No Vacancies. But I had did a whole album produced and mixed on the iPad.
Okay.
I had a friend of mine who was an iPad producer as well. We had before it was big, we had all those controllers that you could buy that cost $300-$400 for 32 keys.
Yeah.
To play your beats. We were doing all that back in the day. I got receipts to prove it, with the older iPads.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Pro came out, that's when the content creation from Apple kind of changed. From day one, even when they showed off the iPad, they showed off GarageBand, they showed off iPhoto, they showed off different applications, Pages, Keynotes, and you actually had to buy those when you originally got the first iPad, but later on they gave them away for free. But I have been iPad Pro-ing for a while, so when the iPad Pro came out, it was like, here's proof that people are really doing this. So I always had a keyboard. Now I had the Magic Keyboard. I always had the Paper, I believe was the application that came out with the stylus for the iPad. It only worked with a few apps.
Yes.
I had that stylus. I had the Wacom stylus that worked specifically with the iPad. Everything, any way you could try to make the iPad your main computer, I did it, even down to hooking it up to a monitor. I have a monitor set up over here just for my iPad, a mouse just for my iPad, a trackpad just for my iPad.
I love
it. That's how deep I am with it. So the applications that I use on a daily basis, like Pixelmator, the apps that I use to communicate, like is a big fan of Fantastical, amazing calendar application. I do a lot of my business and invoicing on my iPad. So I have an invoice app on my iPad that I do. People just can't fathom, but I learned something a long time ago, and I'm gonna share with the audience, and I'm gonna shut up. What I learned is working on the computer is boring. And for some reason, when I can touch the screen, when I can pick up, I don't have I got a wrap that just came in today. So this is going to be wrapped in red. And as soon as I get off this call, I ain't have time to get it done, but I just wanted to say that. But, I can pick this up and touch the screen and maneuver when you're if you're a graphic designer, you're maneuvering your graphics, you're altering things, you're changing the fonts or the typefaces and things like that. And you're like, man, it just feels different. It's a different sensation. You could pick this up and take it anywhere you go. You can be in the car, and you can do that with a laptop. But it's something about touching the graphics, and touching when you're using Luminar Fusion and you're editing your videos, or when you're doing some Lightroom edits on some photos, or you're typing up putting it back on the keyboard and going into an email and typing up a professional email, or editing your resume for something, or making that whatever it is I'm doing, it just seems to be faster and more playful and less work.
It's more personal.
I think that's that. I think that's the hack for me. For me, I can get more things done. Getting things done is the name of my YouTube channel, right? So I can get more things done with my iPad than I can do with a PC. So you can put a PC in front of me, who knows how to use it on the PC, and I can open up my graphic editing software on my iPad, whether I'm using Pixelmator or I'm using Affinity or Procreate, and I can cut a graphic quicker on my iPad than you could do on your computer. Just because this is the tool I've used for almost 10 years,
So let me do this, because this is what I typically do during interviews. I'm gonna be doubting Thomas here and just ask a question. Probably know the answer, but how would you have that conversation to a Surface owner, someone who has a Surface and they're contemplating of going back or coming to Apple, right? Because they've got the touch. They've got you see the young brother doing the commercials right now, talking about, it's got the kickstand, it's got multi-ports, it's got it's the price is different, but how would you approach that conversation?
Okay, here it is. So with Windows, you got your Windows apps, but they're not touch native first, right? So even though you can touch, I've had a Surface. I owned a Surface. So you're talking to the person who, when I told you, I've owned everything. I've had Android devices. I've had Android tablets. I had the Nexus, all the specialized Samsung S Pens. I've had it all, and nothing works like the iPad. Nothing is like this Apple Pencil. Nothing is like running on this particular iPad, or any iPad Pro to be exact. It's nothing like the applications like Adobe. Adobe doesn't particularly make applications just for Surface, right? They don't make applications work just for Surface. They make it work for Windows.
There you go.
Where Adobe has made most of their keynotes every year at their developer conference, or their conference where they are talking directly to their audience. They spend half the time talking about the specialized software they've made just for the iPad, just for Apple devices. And they're coming to the Apple platforms before they come to Android, because they understand that Photoshop, Illustrator, and a lot of these applications, even like Premiere Rush, they need to run really good on these mobile devices, because that's where people are at. You wouldn't have a LumaFusion being a profitable company if there was not people out there making very powerful and amazing videos. Hand in the business, you said it. 100,000 subscribers, edits everything on an iPad. Come on.
So let me tell you something, brother.
Color grading, everything's on an iPad. Go ahead.
Folks that know me know that was a setup question. I knew the answer, but I wanted that reaction right there, right? Because again, it's personal, right? The experience is personal, right? Not just the opinion or the view, but the experience is personal. Adobe does make Lightroom for the iPad. Adobe does not make Lightroom for the Surface or for the Windows tablet or for the Android
Yeah.
tablet. It really is a different experience when you pick up. I'm sorry, when you pick up an iPad, it's just a whole different touch and feel, and just it's not work, right? It's actually something that you want to do and that you want to engage in, you want to consume, you want to create. So I really wanted to hear that emotion and that passion, because again, that's just kind of how it is when folks are part of this whole ecosystem. So I was reaching for that, and you brought it, brother. So I appreciate.
Look,
I'm sorry I had to take you down that road, but I had to take
I gotta
it.
preach though. I'll take it a step further though.
Oh,
This is real
sneak!
easy.
Go ahead and sneak
Hold
a
on, hold
preach,
on.
brother.
Yeah,
Sneak a preach.
Sneaking to preach now, right?
Yeah.
Let me take you to an Apple store.
Can't
Let
get
you
in because
walk in there.
they all busy. They all full. You can't get in.
Go into the Apple store.
Yeah.
Sit down with some of the classes. Does Windows have
Yeah.
classes at the Microsoft store to show you how to use this device and
ahead now.
maximize this device?
Go
Are
ahead
they
now.
showing you how to take GarageBand and do really cool and great music just for your podcast? Are they showing you the accessories that's going to work the best with what you're trying to do? Do they have go into that store, touch that device? They got the type. They already have Procreate in the Apple Store. They already have Procreate on the demo.
Yeah.
Box. They already have the Apple TV hooked up with games on it. They already have the controller there to pick up and play something. They already have the Apple Pencil sitting there so you can try it. You can't do that in most stores. When you go to Best Buy and you try to service, the pin broke, the thing's not powered
Lord
on,
have
things like
mercy.
that. You know why? But when you go to the Apple part of Best Buy, here's where I'm about
There
to
it
preach
is.
for real.
There
When
it
you go
is.
to the Apple part of Best Buy, there's an Apple genius there, or someone who's trained on Apple specific things, and their setting is clean. It looks like a little mini Apple store,
Yes, sir.
and no one does it like Apple does. Why would they that much time and consideration into their customer satisfaction to make sure when you want to buy an Apple device from any place, it's always a A1 service. That's the difference between Surface.
I'm gonna leave it right there, because there it is right there. Look, I went in and opened up the Pandora box, not knowing what I was gonna get, and I got it all. But that's perfect, right? And again, that's what I think folks don't understand, why we are typically so excited, energetic, and just really passionate about why we maintain what we do. And you know what? And I tell this to a lot of folks all the time: you get what you pay for. I'm willing to pay that extra money for the capability, the functionality, the utility that I get from this ecosystem. So yeah, I'll pay the extra $250 or whatever the case may be, just so I can have that continuity, so I can have that airdrop, so I can have my I can go work out at the gym, leave my phone here, and just have everything synced up on my watch.
Come on,
right?
man.
I mean, those are just the joys of life that really have to be experienced, right? It really is.
Yeah,
It's some of the coolest stuff in the world. I wanted to close on the iPad OS because I knew you had some things on that. There's so much more, folks. About
we had to do a part two.
we haven't even touched it. There's so much more.
Yeah.
My big thing and I'll close on the iPad thing here. My big thing on the iPad was the multitasking improvements, because I could never get the dual screen going. My finger, I'm fat fingering or whatever. I could never get it done right. I couldn't bring two screens on. Yeah. I'm running 15 on my iPad now, and it works like a charm. It's flawless. There's three little icons on the shelf right here, and they just pop up and it just works. So it's just dumb stupid. So
that for me right there, just the idea of that was one of the things we were hoping for. I know a couple of people in the Apple blog sphere, if you want to say just the blog world, we're all looking for multitasking improvements. We were also looking for, support that actually for 16:9, or at least some type of way where we can, put multiple apps on different displays with the iPad. That would really revolutionize things. Or even with the Thunderbolt port, being able to just plug a camera like this into it. Shout out to Ecamm, and Ecamm could launch an app, right? Go ahead and drink if you know what I'm talking about. Ecamm could launch an app, and then you can plug your phone up. And
we know the community manager. We could probably talk to the community manager.
He might be in. I heard his name is Doctor something. But at the end of the day, I'm very, as I released a video, and it's what they're doing with iOS, what they're doing with the API. They're just fine tuning what's already a great software. And at the end, I have the Mac. I have the Mac Mini, and this is a affordable price to where, hey, I might can't do that on my iPad yet, but there might be a third party software out there that's coming because of these API changes that's going to allow me to do those types of things. So here's what I tell people who are on YouTube right now, downing, like returning. There's people who are like doing these mass viral things of, I'm returning my iPad Pro M1 because it doesn't do what they rumored it would do. Apple never put out any of that information saying that they were going to do any of that. So don't buy an iPad based on the idea that software is going to be there tomorrow. However, as Apple fanboys, of course, we're a little hurt. We're like, man, I was expecting a little bit more from Apple, but we did get a lot more than I wasn't expecting too. So you have to change that. Doc talks about it a lot, that negative mindset. Well, I did get this, but we did get this though.
Exactly.
So I have my gripes of me wanting just a little bit more power because I'm greedy. I want this iPad Pro, the base, to be this Mac Mini, so I can say, I could pass this or grandfather this down to someone else to be able to start their journey with content creation. Because I'm a giver, right? So I'm like, I got the iPad here. I got these 2 screens. I got all this other stuff. Let me just plug this up into a dock. I already can use a Thunderbolt dock. Let me just plug in and it shows them on the screen, and I can work like normal. I believe it's going to come. We didn't know we was going to get mouse and keyboard until we got it. And it worked with all the previous iPads prior to the new one that they had came out with. So I think it's going to come. It just may not be coming right now because they had user-facing. And we're also, like I said, going back to the beginning of the conversation, 2 years, coronavirus, different things with remote work. They weren't able to do a lot of things they would normally be able to do testing. So we got to give them a little time. And they gave us one heck of a software rollout. And betas, if I've learned anything before, beta 1 is going to be different from beta 2.
Yes, it is.
Beta 2 might be different from beta 3, and they sneak in little features here and there.
Yes, they do.
And so you just never know if the audience continually says, if the MKBHDs who actually have a little bit of pull continue to say, oh man, we really needed that, it may show up. I mean, heck, Craig Federici emailed me and say, hey, I can't comment, but basically in so many words he was saying, it's coming, so let's just keep hope alive.
I love. Hey, so Doc, this is real right here too. I'm living this every single day in my world as well. You can't sleep on what's happening from a global perspective. Silicon is man. You can't get it. Just the entire planet has stopped for a couple of reasons, right? Because of global pandemic, and now because of technology is literally being halted because we can't get raw materials for these manufacturers and from these manufacturers to build all these components. It wasn't much when folks thought it was just cars, or it was just it was just televisions, or it was just these other things that weren't as relevant to their day-to-day life. But now, right, we can't get these raw materials turned into product, it turns into something that actually gets delivered to a consumer because we just don't have them. So the global chip shortage it's making prices skyrocket when we do get them. I keep talking and telling jokes about my CalDigit Thunderbolt is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean somewhere. It's probably it's probably not even there yet. They probably haven't even built the thing. But so again, because they can't get it or make it. But there are a lot of caveats. There are a lot of situations out there. I want to have a further discussion with you at another time about the specifics, because you've mentioned it a couple of times, Thunderbolt, and it's one of the things that irks me.
Huge for the iPad. Huge for the iPad.
Well, it irks. Not it irks me, but it's a point, because we talk about USB, we talk about USB A, B, C, 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, and then you talk about Thunderbolt 3 and 4. Yeah. The consumer needs to understand what that means, right? And just the fact that it may fit into a particular slot, it may fit into into the same connection, but there is a difference between what the actual capabilities are. So I think that's a great conversation to have moving down the road too.
Sounds good.
See, look at him. He talking about he ordered his in November. I ordered mine. I'm not going to get into it with this man.
Look,
I'm
man,
not. You know what?
I'm done with Doc with that.
I'm gonna get into it.
All them. He's daisy chaining all of them. He's got like a powerhouse he's building.
I'm not gonna get into this, man, because I'm not gonna win. So, Jay Dunn, talk to us, brother. Where can we find you, man? This was an amazing conversation. You are a joy to be on stream with. Talk to the folks where they can keep up with you and hear your message as well, because I know you got a really nice message. Come on, man.
Well, I am a relatively new YouTuber. You can find me on YouTube, Getting Things Done. So just type in Getting Things, DUN, D as in dog, U as in umbrella, as in Nancy. Getting Things Done is a pun on my name because I'm Duncan, Jeremy Duncan. You can find me on all social medias at JDunRRP, JDUNRRP. And you'll continue to see me in the, repping that Ecamm fam, all up in the LGM fam. So just constantly doing it. And I just appreciate you once again, my man, for allowing me to be on this platform and speak to the people. I've enjoyed this thoroughly, and I can't wait to come back.
Bruh, appreciate you. Y'all, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your support. We can continue to entertain, educate, and enlighten. That's what we do here. Give us your feedback. Give us your criticism. But at the end of the day, be good to yourselves. All right? We out.
Yes, sir.